till today, believers keep suffering when it has to do with election period. Do you know why? Because we still do not know where the church should stand on matters that deal with politics and state. Who is hearing what I'm saying now? How many people have been persecuted because they wanted to come out for election? How many people were persecuted because they refused to vote? And they were idolized and said, oh, you refuse to vote, you're a bad Christian. For other persons, you voted so and so. You see that now? Varying perspectives. There are many preachers who do not believe that the church should be directly involved in national affairs. Once you are a politician, they look at you as a corrupt person, don't even come near them. And so because of that, they have given a generation a subliminal indoctrination. God is sovereign. He will do what he would do from a political standpoint, but as for you, it's none of your business. Come and live your quiet life in holiness and righteousness. If you die in the process, you are going to heaven. And that engineering has produced a certain kind of Christians. And there are others on the other side who have been taught that your spiritual life does not matter. You just get involved. You are a Daniel without Daniel's spirituality. Are we together? You are a Gideon without Gideon's spirituality. They are just interested in Gideon's warfare without Gideon's consecration. So you find out that a corrupt person who identifies with a church, all he wants to do is to get votes and become a politician, for instance. And they use the church, and once they get that office, as soon as they get it, they become something else. They didn't change. They were always like that. Is the reason why people can bow down to idols, and by Sunday they are in church sitting in front, and we give them all kinds of glamorous honor, and when all is said and done, they are not serious with God, but thanks, they are bringing money to church, and we feel they are participating in kingdom come. Africa is where it is today because the church has largely contributed to shaping a poisonous worldview, not to be involved in matters of society. How many of you know that terrible things can be happening across the nation, and the church has been taught to fold their arms, keep quiet, don't care, at best pray? Our idea of praying is spiritualize your fear. Just spiritualize your fear so that you have a consolation that at least you spoke to God, while waiting for change. Change that never comes, because our theology has produced an irresponsible breed of Christians. Ask the average young graduate right now, what are you going to make out of your life? For most of them, just for asking that question, here's their reply. Shabalantos kalika prandagada. What did you say again? A great life. Let me tell you all the visions. When I was in 400 level, and you are looking at him. And I say, okay, now that you are done, I'm not downplaying your tongues. Where are you going from here? He said, I know God. I know how God lifted me. I know the grace upon my life. That same person, after 5 years, you will see him like a horse that has been tamed. He may not even be born again because he's angry, offended at the pastor who he believed deceived him on campus. There are many angry young men today because the propositions we have given them, even though it seemed to have come from God based on our theology, it's not produced victory in their lives. How many believers are still owing rent in church? Talk to me. How many believers do not have food to eat, and it seems to not be an issue for the pastor? And yet we demand that every Sunday members should show up, not online, on site, and they are not armed robbers. And you are trying to stop prostitution. Why wouldn't the lady be tempted to prostitute herself when she lives in, say, Kubwa, or lives in somewhere, you know, in Karu, and she's a worker in church, and she must show up on Sunday? If not, you will be the first to persecute the lady and say she's not serious. Now she does not have any transport, and you say God will do it. Listen carefully. I hope I'm provoking you. The Christian faith needs to get back to the drawing board and re-examine what our worldview is. There are certain things, if I believed, I would have been a failure in life. They were brought forth by sincere people, but looking from hindsight, I thank God for giving me the stubbornness to have refused them, because those programmings would have brought me into a life of total failure. Total failure. Are we together? Total failure. Which born again tongue talking believer today whose organization can you say is the highest and the biggest employer of labor. And yet there are pastors are praying for people every week to get jobs. Question, where are the jobs? And where will they come from? You see how we make a fool of ourselves? The last time I prayed for people for jobs, there were people enough to be a congregation who came out. Now all those guys believe that the anointing that came from me is powerful enough to give them jobs. The only thing is that where are the jobs? Because the person whose mandate and orientation is to build the business that makes that prophecy come to pass, his vision has been killed by the mentality of his pastor. Did you hear what I said? That CEO's vision was killed the moment he joined a church. The moment he joined Koinonia, a poisonous engineering came from a well-intentioned preacher that destroyed his appetite for growth and called it piety. I have seen very great people remain small in life because of the engineering that came from a pulpit. Please, I want to listen to me very carefully. There are many young men today who would have been champions. 1 year under the right atmosphere, they will bloom and blossom and thrive. They have become victims of the poisons that came from the pulpit. Now, I'm not in any way trying to downplay what has come from the pulpit. I'm just telling you the role that the pulpit has played in creating an aberrated worldview.